All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Clerk, Madam Deputy Clerk, members of council. Welcome to the regular council meeting here for the Township of Clearview. It is Monday, October the 30th, 2023. 5:30 council meeting is prepared for us. We do have a regular agenda. We did not have any in camera, so we're going to proceed directly to item number 2, which is before that, I will give the land acknowledgement, if I may. And that is, I would like to begin our meeting by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples of Canada as traditional stewards and caretakers of the land. We acknowledge that Clearview Township is located within the boundaries of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Tiatanati, the Wendat, and is the home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples as part of the intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. And at this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understandings and new relationships and ask the Creator for guidance in all that we do. And as always, I say the land acknowledgement voluntarily as the Mayor of the Township of Clearview and proud to do so. Council, our agenda does have item number 2, approval of the agenda. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the agenda dated October 30, 2023, as presented. Can I have a mover and seconder? Mr. Deputy Mayor and Mr. MacArthur, thank you. Any questions on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor? That agenda carries unanimous. Item 3 is disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Members of council, is there anything disclosing of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, if something comes up during the meeting, please bring it forward. Council, at this time, it's item number 4 is public participation period. I'll read the script and then we'll see if there is anybody from the public. Please be advised that comments and views expressed under public participation period are not the views of the Township of Clearview Council or the administration. Public participation is limited to 15 minutes. Each person is limited to 5 minutes. Questions or comments are to be directed to the mayor, and questions shall not refer to personnel matters, litigation, or potential litigation, or planning matters that have already had a public meeting or any item considered confidential. Remember, please share the time with your fellow citizens. At this time, I will ask the Deputy Clerk, is there any digital or messages received on our portal? There's no messages. Okay. Now I'll open it to the public. Is there anybody from the public who wishes to come forward during public participation period? Oh, this gentleman's coming up first. You go right ahead. Now, Mr. Witzka, it's nice to have you back. Before you begin, I'd like to make a commentary for you first. Yep. And that is that the last time you were here, you raised a couple of points that you became quite vocal and loud and actually quite boisterous in our council chambers. You made some accusations during your presentation. And so I'd like to caution you about that we have a decorum of respect here, and we expect all of our presenters here at our microphone and during this meeting to present in a public, decent fashion so that we have proper decorum. So I'm giving you that advice, please, and please carry on with your presentation. It will be up to me to determine whether that is not being met. Thank you, sir.
Item 1, I'd just like to give a shout out to whomever installs the Remembrance Day banners of the vets. I was just wondering, is there any links available or a short bio of each one posted?
That information, I can tell you, it was put up by the township through an agreement with the Historical Society, the Stainer Historical Society, and they have the honor of recognizing those banners and who put them up. As far as who's on them, that information is available through them. And as a matter of fact, I believe they're working on that. Every Remembrance Day, if I'm not mistaken, they've been doing a little presentation up at the community center that highlights members that are shown on the banners. So you might want to check with those folks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is who's responsible for post-project remediation of job sites? The EV contractor plonked 2 dogwood bushes in the adjacent weed bed and left them at their Brock Street project. Will it be cleaned up?
That's a good point. And I'm sure that our staff who oversee contracts and contractors will be diligent to go and inspect the sites after the work. And if there's anything out of alignment or anything out of position, I'm sure our staff will deal with it. You bring up a good point, and so I've made a little note here that I will ask that question for you and see if we can get an answer.
Item number 3. About 3 weeks ago, an elderly lady in her mid-80s fell on the sidewalk outside Honey Monster, resulting in a big gash on her forehead. Luckily, a PSW was close by and saw it and brought her into the Coco Cafe, upon which first aid and ambulance was called. At what point will the township address the undulating funhouse-style condition of the sidewalks on the main street? Not the first incident here, by the way. There was a skateboarder, same place a couple weeks ago.
I'm aware that there was somebody injured. And I know that work has been done on our sidewalks of recent, particularly in Stainer. I'm unsure as the status on that. If I may, I'll turn to the Deputy Director. Mr. Deputy Director, do you have anything you want to add in regards to that particular occurrence?
Thank you, Your Worship. I can on two fronts. I am aware also of the injuries. The lady that was injured did attend the office, and I spoke with her, and ensured that we did have a contractor lined up to do some repair works. I know they were out there a couple of weeks ago. I'm just not aware if they've completed the works that we had discussed. If gentleman is saying that that work's not done, I'll believe him, and advise that that location was looked at for repair, and I'll have to check with the contractor to see where they're at with the repair schedule.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, item number 4 is a letter I wrote to the Creemore Echo. I titled it "The Tarnished Jewel in the Tourism Crown." Dear editor, upon reading your article on the Evening Hall and its lack of progress, I ventured down on Saturday, this 21st of October, to take some additional photos to post on social media. Apoplectic dismay are the words that quickly came to mind. From the buffoonish masonry construction to the absolute lack of attention to dry rot issues, to torn tarps allowing water to enter the building, many questions arise. Will bowlers be required to wear Wellingtons to play now? Will exposed insulation be a concern for harboring mold? Will the project still be 1.4 million, or will it balloon to twice the cost as the recent Gowan Park gazebo did when the lowest bidder won that contract? Where are the township engineers or upper management to enforce progress? Will any be fired? Should be, since their vetting brought us to this stage. Who pays? The tapped out taxpayer, of course. Full steam ahead, right? That's it.
Is the word "right" your question, Dave?
Yeah.
I see. The contract is still underway. The contractor is still on site as far as working on the project. I'm certainly aware that it's fallen well behind. I'm looking, I don't believe Terry is on board. Is Terry on board? Terry is available virtually. Perhaps Mr. Vachon, in the absence of Baz Dokanish, who's our project manager. Mr. Vachon, can you advise us what the story is on the Evening Hall?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. And like you said, Mr. Dokanish is the project manager on site. I would leave it to him to answer the increment details of that project. But you are correct, the project is behind. Clearview Township does have its engineers and architects working with the contractors to deal with any issues that are happening. But I would have to let Mr. Dokanish answer any technical questions.
Okay. So we're still in a holding basically for that. Is that correct, Terry?
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on, Terry. Mike Ron would like to jump in. Mike is there. He's Sasha's just telling me that. So let's hear from Mr. Mike Ron.
Thank you, Your Worship. So at our recent engineering project status meeting, we had a discussion about this project. So that project is bonded. So that means the bidder has secured the project And if they aren't capable of completing that project, a new contractor will be brought in, and that bond will pay for that with no additional cost to the contract. We're looking at that avenue now, and Baz is incorporating these comments into the construction minutes.
Okay, Mike and Terry, this is a question for you because Mr. Witzka brought it up. He commented about the Gowan Pavilion. Can you recall, what we spent on that project, and was it double as Mr. Witzka indicated?
I can't speak to that, Your Worship.
Okay, Terry?
Yeah, I can speak to it, Your Worship. If I recall, I don't think there was a true double in costs. There was a significant increase, however. I don't think it was a true double. If I remember, I think it was the tenders were originally about 180, and I think it came in at about 280 or close to 300.
Okay. Mr. Witzka, there you go. By the way, we're just as frustrated as anybody in regards to that project.
Can I show these guys pictures in a?
It's not part of public participation period, but
Okay, I'm just curious.
I've seen the pictures, Dave. I've seen them.
I know. Have these guys seen the pictures?
I'm pretty confident that they have.
I've got serious questions about the front entry to this evening hall.
Yes.
Whether this crack was repaired, this dry rot was replaced before they poured the step.
Okay.
To me, I'm going to say no. I'm going to bet a lot of money that it's no.
Okay. Well,
And these guys aren't looking at after this fiasco properly.
so Dave, they are bonded, as Mr. Ron pointed out. So, we can't do anything more than continue to inspect it and work with our, project manager and inspector until such time as the contractor can't complete, and then we'll be able to move upon that. But at this time, the entire project is in the hands of the contractor. Is there anyone else who'd like to come forward during public participation period and bring forward a question to council?
Good evening, Your Worship.
Hello there.
I don't know if I'm preempting the agenda here, but this is comments with regards to the Clearview BESS, if this is the appropriate time.
Clearview, pardon me?
Battery energy storage project.
Yeah, that would be preempting it. Yeah. I'm sorry. What's your name?
My name is Jeff Denemy. I'm with IPA Power.
Okay. So
He can speak to.
Yes. that's right. This is not so there's no public meeting on that. So I just want to make sure I understood that.
Understood.
So please go right ahead if you've got a question.
Excellent.
Sorry, you had me confused there for a minute. I thought, what?
No worries. Just a couple statements here. So good evening, Your Worship. So as I said, I'm Jeff Denemy with IPA Power. I'm a senior project manager. We are an Ontario-based independent power producer with projects in jurisdictions across North America. We have shared some information with Your Worship and the council members of council, and we'd be happy to set up a time to address any additional questions that you may have on that package. I'm here this evening to share a couple remarks about the importance of receiving municipal council support for battery energy storage projects, and use our proposed Clearview battery energy storage project as an example of how it will support the community with the reliability of the electricity system and bring economic benefits to the Stayner community and financial support to the municipality. As you may know, the Independent Electricity System Operator, the ISO, identified a reliability need in Ontario and launched the long-term, or LT1, request for proposals to meet this challenge. Battery energy storage systems, also known as BESS, will be fundamental to resolving the reliability need, and my company, IPA Power, intends to bid our project into this procurement proceeding. So the Clearview BESS is a proposed clean energy project on 15 acres of private land at the intersection of Brentwood Road and Concession 3, but whose actual project footprint will be smaller, roughly 6 to 8 acres. This location was chosen because it was close in proximity to the transmission line passing through Clearview Township, and because there was no available general industrial land along this particular transmission line corridor that would have allowed us to meet the important and necessary environmental approvals and safety requirements. Our Clearview BESS would be located on agricultural land, temporarily removing it from use during both the construction and operating periods of our project. However, IPA Power understands the importance of protecting prime agricultural land and is intent on taking actions to mitigate the temporary impact of taking 6 to 8 acres out of farming production. Firstly, we're exploring protecting the same acreage of and type of agricultural land for the same duration by leasing and protecting an equivalent location in Clearview Township. And additionally, at the end of the operating term, IPA is committed to remove all facilities from the leased property and restore the soil up to 36 inches below the surface to a condition similar to its current original purpose. We understand the importance of being good neighbors as well as being good stewards of the land on which we build our projects. And we also would like to speak to council about the benefits of Clearview BESS would bring to the community. And those were included in the package previously shared. And those would include improving the reliability of the local electrical system by having storage that can be activated in case of local infrastructure issues, generate millions of dollars in tax revenues to the Clearview Township over the 21-year operating lifespan, bring local employment, roughly 200 to 300 temporary full-time jobs, and then 6 full-time permanent positions, grow local business by using unionized professional trades and opportunities to bid contract services and equitable access to local employment. And then to further bring community investments by IPA to be negotiated as part of a community benefit agreement that at the discretion of yourself and council can be invested into upgrading infrastructure, as the previous gentleman had alluded to. Tonight, I understand that your worship and your council colleagues will be voting on whether to issue a blanket municipal support resolution or an MSR to interested proponents submitting best projects bids into the ISO's LT1 procurement. We want to support that. I want to emphasize that passing a resolution to this effect will play a significant role in IPA's helping Clearview BESS project in the procurement evaluation process. It demonstrates to the evaluators, that is the Ontario IESO, that there is local support and represents a sizable proportion of the points awarded in the scoring criteria for this proposal process. Absent of an MSR, it's unlikely that any project will advance in the ISO procurement process. It's a very critical, item with the ISO. Failure to receive an MSR would leave hundreds of jobs, the community benefit agreement, and millions of dollars in tax revenues on the table, which would otherwise directly serve Clearview Township. As a company, IPA Power is committed to communities we serve in the development, siting, and operation of each of our clean energy projects. Clearview Township should be a part of the dialogue around this project, so we look forward to hearing from the community on November 8th at our public meeting, where we'll take additional questions from the public. And we prioritize collaboration and eagerly await potential opportunity to continue working both with Clearview Township to reduce environmental footprint, supporting local economy, contributing to financial capacity of the municipality. And as part of that collaboration, we have some comments from the ESC, so the Energy Storage Canada. And this is from a statement from Justin Ranguni, the Executive Director at Energy Storage Canada. And he's given us some bullet points. He's like, Energy Storage Canada is a national not-for-profit organization dedicated to development of the country's energy storage sector as a key element of an affordable, sustainable, and resilient electricity grid. Ontario has urgent electricity system needs as a supporter of energy storage development. Clearview Township will help keep Ontario's lights on and its economy running. Battery energy storage systems, BESS, are safe projects, must follow internationally recognized and adopted fire safety standards, and are a critical component of meeting Ontario's reliability needs, while also keeping electricity costs down for ratepayers by increasing the efficiency of the province's grid. Additionally, energy storage assets, including BESS, typically occupy less land than other resource types, requiring as little as 0.03 of an acre per megawatt, keeping land use to a minimum. With no fuel other than electricity, BESS also pose no significant risk to the soil or environment. And then should Clearview Council be looking for additional input from a third party outside of IPA, Energy Storage Canada, we would be happy to provide additional educational resources on BESS technology and the important role it can play in supporting the reliability of Ontario and Clearview's electricity system.
Well done.
Thank you.
You're just at 5 minutes.
Just on that.
Thank you for your presentation, and council will be reviewing that and discussing that later on in the agenda. So thanks for the information. Are there other members of the public who wish to come forward during public participation period? Any other questions? Going once, twice. Yes, we do have someone else. Thank you.
Hi,
Hello.
Connor. How are you?
Good.
Carol Kerfoot.
Hi, Carol.
Hi. I just had a question. In light of everything that's going on with the evening hall, I've heard that we'll be having the other halls renovated as well. Is that true?
We're involved in 2 renovations at this time,
Okay.
right? Sunnydale Hall and Evening Hall.
Yes, I've seen that. Yes.
And council will have an opportunity to discuss the budget
Mhm.
later on, I guess, next month, November.
Okay.
And I'm quite confident council will be discussing that very point. At this time, there is a policy and a directive of council that we will renovate all 6 halls that require those renovations. But it's still up to council on a year-by-year basis as to what we are going to do.
And to what extent will they be renovated? Like the evening hall, you're spending a lot of money on that, and I don't see a large revenue coming in from that hall.
Yeah.
And the other halls as well, like the 6 halls that you are planning on renovating, the same thing. Are they producing a
Please
lot
keep
of
in
revenue?
mind, the community halls and those beautiful community halls are not revenue generators for the township of Clearview in any way. The funding that goes into those halls goes back into running the board volunteers and their programming and their expenses to run the hall. So they're not revenue generators for you and I as taxpayers of the township.
And will anybody else have a decision as to which halls get renovated?
Council
Just the
will
council?
council are the decision makers in all aspects of the municipal government. And so it will be council's decision. For sure, during the budget process,
Mhm.
the public will have plenty of opportunity to comment on items that are going in or going out of the budget. So if you wish to make a commentary about that specific item, that would be an excellent opportunity for you to do that.
And when's that?
Off the top of my head, budget meeting, who knows the actual date of the public meeting? The clerk has got her hand up. How about that?
Thank you, Your Worship. So the actual date of the public meeting, the first workshop or special meeting is November 8th. The second one's the 15th, and that's when the departments present their budgets. And then the public meeting, I believe, will be on the 11th of December.
Of December.
Is that
December.
correct, Treasurer?
Kelly? It sounds about right to me.
Yes.
There's a public meeting where this format we're in right now,
Right.
we'll have the opportunity for members of the public to bring forward their recommendations, concerns, adds, subtractions, about the municipal budget. And that's been a standing procedure all along. We've
Okay.
always done that.
Okay, thank you.
Hope that helps.
Thank you. It did.
All right. Kelly's confirming it is the 11th of December. So there you go.
Thank you.
Great. Is there anybody else? It's been a good session so far. No, nothing further. Going twice, going 3 times. Thank you very much for participating in public participation period. Council, we're going to move on. We do have a deputation here tonight. The Georgian Triangle Humane Society is here. I believe Sonia Reichelt is there over there. Hello, Sonia. Come right over to the podium. Make yourself comfortable. I believe you have a PowerPoint presentation that our staff will get up on the screen for you. And you can outline what your presentation is all about. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Sonia Reichel, and I'm the Executive Director with the Georgian Triangle Humane Society. I'm here tonight for an amended budget presentation. I'm here with Roger, a GTHS volunteer and a citizen of Clearview, as well as Carla, who is a citizen of Clearview, as well as a volunteer with Creemore Cats, who is also a partner of the Georgian Triangle Humane Society. I'm going to start this evening with a little bit of an update on what's happening over at our animal center in Collingwood, some of the challenges that we're facing, some work we've done this year to create the presentation that you are seeing this evening, and some thoughtful consideration towards your budget deliberations for 2024. Next slide. Okay, great. So as you know, we serve the South Georgian Bay region, which is 6 municipalities ranging from Grey Highlands all the way over to Wasaga Beach, down to Clearview and everything that's in between. We will be presenting to all 6 municipalities over the next 6 weeks with this exact presentation that will give an outline at the end of the presentation, a breakdown of the populations for the 6 municipalities that we serve, as well as their average assessment, and then a correlating request to support a project that we are in the middle of right now that I'll go into in a moment. Next slide, please. As you may or may not know, we are a very busy humane society. We have 4,000 pets that come through our programs and services every single year. We run a fully accredited companion animal hospital that provides access to basic vaccines, microchips, and spay-neuter surgeries. That hospital, just to give a little bit of an idea, we open up for bookings every 3 months, and those bookings fill up within the first couple of hours. Pet owners in our community are really quite desperate to receive access to veterinary care. In addition to that, we take in stray and surrendered cats and dogs from our region. We run rabies and microchip clinics to work to decrease zoonotic disease in our communities and increase access to veterinary care. We run lost and found programs. We have about 25 youth that have gone through our after-school programs and our classroom visits so far this year. And we also work with our communities to help them, especially during times that we are in right now, through economic hardships, to help them keep their pets during times of emergencies. And an example of this is that we have so far this year given out 20,000 pet meals to our local community, which is 5,000 more meals than we gave this time last year. Next slide, please. Our reality is that we are in a growth node and our population is growing with leaps and bounds, as well as folks in our communities that are struggling to access food, to access housing. As a result, more and more pet owners are coming to our Humane Society looking for service. The current facility that we are in was designed 25 years ago. It is on town of Collingwood land. We designed the building 25 years ago, and at that point, we anticipated 500 animals to come through its walls every single year, 6,000 square foot building. And today, as I mentioned earlier, we have 4,000 that are coming through on an annual basis. Next slide, please. And that means that we are bursting at the seams. We have cars that are parked all up and down the road. We have 350 volunteers that are active with our organization and 28 staff. So you can only imagine the parking needs in a parking lot that has 8 spots. Our kennels are constantly full, requiring us to use foster homes or think outside of the box. We have crates in our garage, crates up and down the hallway in many cases. Our foster homes for cats are readily being used as well. And to that end, you'll see our main cat room is filled with cat cages so that we can ensure the cats that are in our care, which range at any one given time between 120 to 170 cats. And for dogs, between 10 and 30 dogs in our care at any given time. So needless to say, we are bursting at the seams. Next slide, please. The vision for the future is a regional center for pets and people. It's a 19,000 square foot building on 5 acres of land that we own on Sanford Fleming Drive in Collingwood. It'll be a center that will cost us $16 million to open the doors of. And right now in the construction phase that we are in, our plan is to put shovel in the ground in the spring of 2024. It's an 18-month build. So we'll be opening the doors late 2025, early 2026. Next slide, please. The facility will allow us to have anywhere from 30 to 40,000 visitors every single year. We will be able to shelter twice the number of animals that we can today. We will be able to triple the number of clients that come through our hospital, which we know will still be, in some cases, short of the supply that we are, or the need that we are seeing out there. But we will be able to continue to make long-term strides towards reducing pet overpopulation. We will have 6,000 spots for youth that will be going through our program, and this will be teaching them about responsible pet ownership. It will be teaching them about how animals think, feel, and communicate, which will be increasing their confidence, their own ability to communicate. And what we are learning from the youth that go through our program is that they're stronger in their social and emotional skill development, and as a result, their mental health as well is improving. Next slide, please. So today I want to talk about how the work of the Georgian Triangle intersects with the municipal areas of focus. We are an augmentation of your animal control and your bylaw enforcement. We are working to increase and improve through economic development, the increase of social service, the reduction of zoonotic disease and stray cats and dogs that are on our streets. So we see ourselves as an extension of the work of the municipalities and an essential public service. Next slide, please. This is a breakdown from 2022 of the use of our programs based on cat and dog intakes, stray intakes, use of our hospital, use of our pet support services, and volunteers that came to us. So you can see there that Clearview, it's outlined the breakdown of the use of those services. In 2023, many of those numbers will have since changed, but if anything, they're just increasing in their scope and their size. Next slide, please. And then finally, what we have done here today and what will be presented to the 6 municipalities that we serve is a request for a partnership on our capital campaign so that we can continue with our construction and open the doors in early 2026. To create that request, and I think the bottom part of my slide is cut off, but we'll get into it in the next slide. What we have done is broken down each of the municipalities that we serve based on their population, and then based on their average assessment, and taken a proportional percentage that we have then applied to what our ask is, which is a request for 9.3% of our $16 million facility, or in this slide, it's $15 million, or sorry, yeah, $16 million facility, which translates to a $1.5 million ask that will be broken down across those 6 municipalities over 10 years. So next slide, please. So the request tonight is consideration towards your 2024 budget for a $22,500 contribution to our capital campaign. The first installment of a 10-year installment that would result in a $225,000 gift from the Township of Clearview. And we would ask that you give thoughtful consideration towards continuing to build our partnership, support this initiative, and that this might be moved into a motion to go into budget deliberations. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I forgot an important part. Sorry, this is the last bit. Just really quickly, this will be 2 sentences. This outlines the recognition that we would be providing to the Township of Clearview and the other municipal partners that get on board. If you don't mind going one more slide. This just illustrates what the front of the building will look like. We have 2 entrances. One is our main entrance. The second will be the entrance to our hospital. Connecting those 2 entrances is a walkway, a corridor, where we will have a plaque for the Township of Clearview that will illustrate your recognition towards this campaign. And now I'm done.
All right. That's great. Well, I have to say, I have visited your current facility, and it does seem a little crowded at times. Maybe that's because there's quite a lot of excitement around there with pets that need to be adopted or found new homes for, as well as some amazing volunteers that work around the facility. So it's certainly, the organization appears to have outgrown its space. So we need to support you on that and acknowledge that the work that you guys are doing is certainly making an impact for people and pets. So thank you very much for your presentation. And yes, the ask, we will take this forward to our budget discussions and deliberations and see what council can come up with on how we can, perhaps meet this request.
Thank you so much.
Is that helpful?
That's very helpful. Yeah.
Can I ask if there's any members of council, if they have any questions to the presentation? No? Do you look after vampires by any chance?
Oh, no. If necessary.
If necessary. Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation. Get a rabies shot. That's what we need. That's it. All right. Good presentation tonight. And council will get moving on in our little agenda here. So we have there's no public meeting tonight, that's for sure. So we're now moving on to approval of the council minutes. Be it resolved that council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the minutes of the October 16, 2023 council meeting minutes as presented. Can I have a mover and seconder on that one? Deneen and Count Beelan. Thank you. Is there any questions? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you very much. Any business arising from the minutes? Anything that comes out of that meeting that council needs to refer? No? Okay. We're going to go to item number 9, communications from the mayor. There was no closed session today, so there's nothing under 9.1. Council 9.2 is the Township of Essa Council support for the provincial and federal supports for drinking water plant expansion. It's kind of similar to our request because we also are dealing with water infrastructure expansion. So this is a good information piece for you to refer to. Item 9.3 is notice of a rate hearing. Enbridge Gas has applied for increase its natural gas distribution rates. That's a notification for us to be aware. And that is it on my communications from the mayor. I do have one other item, if I may. I'm going to add it very last minute that came in from Suzette, our administrative assistant. Let me just pull it up here. It's only take a moment. Yes. So Suzette has asked me to ask council to consider that the South Georgian Bay Tourism Association, formerly known as the Georgian Triangle Tourist Association, is hosting or will be celebrating their 45th anniversary. And so I will, with your blessings, prepare a certificate to acknowledge that on behalf of the Township of Clearview, that we will convey sincere congratulations and good wishes to the South Georgian Bay Tourism Association on their 45th anniversary. That's going to be celebrated on November the 8th. So I think that's why Suzette sent it to me just now, is that it's going to happen between now and then. So I wanted you guys to be aware of that. Okay, is there any questions on those items from communications from the mayor? Nothing? Okay, so we will move on to county reports. So Deputy Mayor, let's see here. We've got 2 items in here that we can talk about, as well as the fact we got a big budget meeting tomorrow. First one is the public notice, County of Simcoe and the City of Aurelia to host a public information session to discuss housing attainable supply action plan project that the City of Aurelia are working on. County of Simcoe is involved in this a little bit, maybe more than a little bit, but they're involved. And so the City of Aurelia has several shelters that they've been expanding there. So they want to have an action plan to deal with the whole attainable housing issue. So this is an information item for you. County of Simcoe is also supporting businesses with labor market impact assessment workshops. That's coming up as well. So those 2 items did come in from the county that you should be aware of. And the last thing is the deputy mayor and I are going to be spending the day basically on a very long meeting dealing with the county budget. And the difficult news for all municipalities across the county are that the county is facing, for the first time in, I'm going to say recorded history, but that's not correct. First time in recent times, we're facing almost a 5% increase from the county. The budgets from the county are significantly higher for ask for next year. County councilors will have quite a discussion, I'm sure, tomorrow about that and ask a lot of questions. Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to talk about the items you've touched on already. First of all, with attainable housing, we hear all these terms. We are in the process of completing a major facility in Aurelia. And one of the hot topics is how do we protect these assets for our local people, in other words, people of Simcoe County. And it was brought to our attention that any projects that we do that we receive provincial or federal funding, the properties are fair game for anybody in the province.
That's right.
And so I just want to make it clear to everybody, if we get funding from the province, we have to open the doors. And we are looking at a lot of our funding going forward in the future. Do we go it alone? Do we take the provincial money? But we can still protect a share of the project that we support ourselves. We can protect it for the local people. We are very, very conscious, this community, about attainable housing, affordable housing, as I've spoken before about geared to income, subsidized, below market value. There's all these terms we use, and they're all tools we are using to try and see what we can do to get it, because we all know that the majority of our housing situations are uploaded to our county, not ourselves, and but we are all starting to dabble our feet in that water sort of thing. So the other thing was last Thursday night was the newcomers awards,
Yes.
and
That's
it was
fine,
held
yeah.
at Horseshoe. Well, I call it Horseshoe Valley, but they have a different name for it. The county is very much trying to reach out to new Canadians. What can we do? And they're giving awards out. So it's been posted, I believe, today, or it was yesterday on Friday, the list of the award winners. So we're not only trying to appeal across the province with that, but a lot of the newcomers we're trying to attract professionals, social leaders, community leaders, and stuff like that. So they are very cognizant of what's going on with that. So that was held on Thursday night, sort of thing. So
Very good event.
Yep.
Very good.
so anyways, that's about all. We'll talk a bit more about what we were doing on Thursday in our reports, but that's another story.
Nevertheless, thank you very much. Yeah, the Heights of Horseshoe is where that was held
Heights of
for the
Horseshoe.
newcomers event. And I'm very happy that some members of our county council were able to attend as well. Any questions from the county reports, members of council? All right. Seeing none, we will move on. We're going to move to our council reports and committee announcements, ward reports. We're going to move over to Mr. Geez, I didn't write it down last time. I think it's Mr. Broderick. That's right. Thank you very much. Mr. Broderick, you're up first.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Gonna move my arrow here. See, an arrow every time.
October the 17th, attended the Clearview Library Board meeting. Also on the 17th, the Clearview Chamber of Commerce meeting. On the 23rd, the Creemore VIA AGM. And on the 25th, of course, the Clearview Council special meeting. And on the 27th, partook in the Jamie Williams concert hosted by Sunnydale Hall in cooperation with the Duntroon Hall. That was quite an event. And that's it for me.
And the Jamie Williams concert, boy, that was something. I was there as well. That guy can play. Oh,
Yeah,
he's quite an entertainer.
He's a magician.
A magician with his guitar and instruments, everything. It's really impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. MacArthur, how are you today?
Very good. Thank you, Your Worship. Very little to report. Other station meeting last week, and through funds we've raised over the last while, we've purchased a new sound system for the station on the green, as well as 2 new stoves. So we're updating the facility and keeping it intact. And I'd just like to thank all the volunteers once again with all the small halls festivities and everything, because everyone seems to be a great success so far. And we got 2 more weeks to go. So keep up the good work.
You're absolutely right. Small Hall's been a big success this year. Paul, would you like to go next, or shall I
I'll
move
say
down?
move in.
Okay,
You and I will
move
tag
down
team
here.
the last
Great.
one.
Councillor Janine, how are you, fellas?
Very well, thank you. And got my notes right here. I just want to say happy Halloween to everybody tomorrow night. Watch out for the kids out and about and enjoy your night. And Remembrance Day, Saturday, the 11th, please go out and support your veterans and I hope the weather's good. I'll be in Collingwood. The mayor will be here in Stayner. And I believe everybody's got one spot or another to go, don't they? To be at, yes. So I'll be at the Collingwood Cenotaph on behalf of Clearview Township. And I wanted to make mention, there was someone earlier mentioned about the halls and whether or not they make money or not. If anyone wants to follow the agendas for the hall meetings, they're posted on our website. Our bank statements are all there for the public to see. You can see all the money coming and going So it's up to yourselves to do your due diligence and check that out. And I just wanted to say on behalf of my mother, to the mayor and the staff, thank you very much for her 90th birthday certificate.
Lovely.
And that will be it for me. Thanks.
That's great. That was a great picture you sent me. Thank you. That was really good to see. Thank you so much. Mr. Beelan, Count Beelan.
Thanks a lot, your worship. Ha, 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 ha. I only have one item to, on my ward report. There you go. Friday, October 27th, I was in Barrie at the Barrie Legion representing Clearview for their annual Poppy Drive kickoff. It's to raise awareness of the Poppy Drive. All the money gets spent locally that they raise on veterans. And it was a very good afternoon. And it was even on CKVR. So thank you.
Thank you so much for representing and filling in that position. I was able to attend that last year, and it's quite an honorable thing to meet the veterans. And I believe you had a Silver Cross mother there with you too. It was lovely. Thank you, Marty, for doing that. I appreciate that. Mr. Walker, how are you, Robert?
Fine, your worship. Thank you very much. October 17th, library board meeting. And out of that meeting, we have established two committees, one on strategic planning and policy, and another on reviewing the hours of operations for the Clearview Public Library. So there will be two committees dealing with those and coming back to the board with their findings, and then possibly moving forward with budget deliberations, etc., as a result of what findings are there. On the 21st, I was very honored to attend Dalt Lowe's 90th, and Dalt's in the crowd here tonight, and a great evening. And Dalt, I'm going to call you Mr. Stainer, because I tell you, if we ever need any information about Stainer, we just need to talk to you, because you've still got your memory, and you still know where everybody built, lived, and what businesses were around. So congratulations again on your 90th. And it was a great afternoon, and thank you very much. On the 22nd, I attended the Clearview Community Theater's production at the fairgrounds. And again, awesome talent, vocals, great acting, and again, production that the local theater group has put on that just exceeds local theater big time. And also on the 25th, then we attended the planning. And that's it, your worship.
Well, thank you very much. Good acknowledgement there to Dalt. I'll talk about him in a moment. Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you very much. I guess we may be talking this together, this item. For those who are weren't aware, last Thursday, the mayor, myself, and Deputy Director Dan Perot went to Toronto to meet with Minister Surma. And Jim Surma is the Minister of Infrastructure for Ontario. And Brian Saunderson, our John group, had organized a meeting to meet with her. We had a half an hour to speak with her. We got into, we were originally supposed to meet with Brian Saunderson, whose family was ill, and so he couldn't participate with us. And we had to do it alone, and it went really, really well. So Dan, thank you for your leadership. Thanks, Doug, myself, everybody that was involved. It went well, and we were waiting to hear now. We've flown our flag, and we got her attention, but we're like so many other people, we're in the queue. We are a smaller community, and we explained that to her, but our cost of producing water is much lower than a lot of other people. So we've done what we can. Brian Saunderson is working for us as well, but it's still a road we have to hoe ourselves, and away we go, sort of thing. So second thing was with Dalta, of course, we were at your party. That was thanks for hosting us. Which was a week ago. We also, just a comment, we were this morning, we received, our fire department received money from Enbridge. And so we took a bit of a photo op and received gifts of money from Enbridge, which has been utilized to buy books and stuff for training for the fire department. So it was nice to receive that. It's a privilege to get money from Enbridge once in a while instead of paying it to them. Other little comment I'll just say, and Dan, I hope I don't take a bit of your thunder here. We're starting to see the battery chargers light up. and we've got one out here that's lit up, or two out here. So it's nice to see that we're starting to get some of our green energy efforts showing up in Clearview. So those are my comments, Your Worship.
Excellent. Thank you. So I'll pick up on your comments in regards to the meeting with the Minister of Infrastructure. I felt that it was a very productive meeting because she asked some very good questions about our township, and of which we were able to provide her answers, and her staff who were attending. She also, was quite understanding to the difficulty we are with our stranded asset and our difficulty of dealing with the tenders that come in at way over the projected costs. And she did highlight briefly that the federal government infrastructure money was still being handed out to various municipalities, but she didn't say anything further about that. It is interesting to note after the meeting is that I did a little more research to discover that all the money that in Ontario that's been doled out from the federal government has gone to the big cities areas, not the small rural communities in Ontario. And so I think our next phone call will be to MP Terry Dowdle to see if we can have a formal meeting with him in regards to this discussion. So that's my hope. And I think we'll also follow up with further conversations with the ministry as well. So you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to add to that. If in our agenda tonight, you'll notice there was a letter from ESSA, and basically they're struggling as well. They're jumping on board with the Collingwood new tech application and trying to get support and for that. We're in this whole community, this whole area struggling to get their infrastructure, water, sewers, or thereabouts. So it's a challenge. It's a definite challenge, but we feel we're sitting in a good position. So we're going to work away at it.
Thank you very much. Other things I want to mention. I attended on Friday, the Institute of South Georgian Bay held a seminar for the morning on the green economy. That's what I was attending on Friday when Mr. Beelan was able to go and attend in regards to the poppy presentation. So I did enjoy the workshop and found the conversation very interesting and enlightening about rural tourism and ecotourism that's been happening and increasing across the province. They had some very good discussions about that. Lots of activity happening over in the Owen Sound area on this very topic. So this South Georgian Bay Institute, of course, does stretch across the whole region, has a lot of topics that they talk about. Council, you may recall, we had a presentation from them. So it was a good morning session and I was happy to be there. And so the other thing I want to mention, of course, is Mr. Dalton Lowe. Thank you, Councillor Walker, for mentioning it. Dalton is with us here tonight. I'll paraphrase some of my comments that I said, Dalton, at your 90th celebration. The one that I will stand up and make a really clear message on, though, is that Dalton Lowe is known as the unofficial mayor of Stayner. And it's I'm for certain, as I am the mayor, fortunate to be the mayor number 6 for Clearview Township. And I know for a fact that Dalton Lowe has consulted with every single mayor previous to me. And so as a result, I consider him a real good person to go to ask for advice and get information and hear what people are thinking. So thank you, Dalton, so much. You stay around for a few more years. Maybe there'll be another mayor you get to talk to as well. Okay, sir. Congratulations on your birthday. Happy 90th. And also 70 years for your company too. Is that right? That's right. 70 years for Lowe Construction. Wow. Fantastic. Good for you. Thank you for joining us here tonight at the council meeting. Okay, members of council, we're going to move on in our agenda. Number 12 is our, let's see, we're here, department reports and bylaws. And we'll start with the first one here in regards to the 6-7 side road. This is report PB 065-2023 zoning bylaw amendment for 9783 6-7 side road, Nottawasaga. I'll read the recommendation and I'll look for a mover and seconder. Recommendation be it resolved that Council of the Township Clearview hereby receive report 065-2023, a zoning bylaw amendment for 9783 6-7 side road, Nottawasaga, dated October 30, 2023. And item 1, that a zoning bylaw for the lands municipally known as 9783 6-7 side road, Nottawasaga, be presented to council for approval at the earliest available meeting, provided the undertaking of the owner to address the mitigation measures as outlined in the environmental impact study and the staff report have been received to the township's satisfaction. Can I have a mover and seconder on the motion, please? Mr. Broderick, thank you. Mr. Beelan, thank you. Council, is there any questions, or would Miss Roslyn like to, Miss Roslyn? Roslyn, would you like to speak to the report?
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Just a brief, a highlight here in that you'll notice that in this case, we did receive one application, and typically we would consider one bylaw and one planning report. But as described in the recommendation report, we did decide this time to break out the issues that were applied for, because we felt that that would help with the understanding and scoping of some of the challenges and comments that had come in. So other than that, I'm here for any questions.
Okay. Members of council, do you have any questions to Rosalind in regards to this report? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just questioning if there's anything that I missed in the report where there could possibly be or not be any severances on this total parcel. Can we put that stipulation on? Or would that be better on the second request?
Roz?
Yep, thank you for that question. So the lands are not eligible for any type of severance, residential severance, if that's what you're asking. The provincial policy statement has been very clear on that in terms of prime agricultural land. So it's probably not necessary to add that as a specific condition or.
All right. Thank you, Councillor MacArthur. Anything further from any members of council? Nothing further? All right. Well, thank you very much, Ross. And I appreciate your comment about separating the two reports, or separating the ask into two reports. It does become very apparent when you read the two together as to why they're separated. So thank you so much for doing that. That's good planning, as they say. Council, you've heard the comments, you've had the report. I have a mover and second. I am prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you very much. All right, council, the second one is PB 072 2023. It's a zoning bylaw amendment for 978367 Side Road. And I'll read the recommendation and look for a mover and seconder. Recommendation be it resolved that council of the township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 072 2023 zoning bylaw amendment for 978367 Side Road, Nottawasaga, dated October 30, 2023. And item 1, that a zoning bylaw for the lands municipally known as 978367 Side Road, Nottawasaga, be presented to council for approval at the November 13, 2023 council meeting. Can I have a mover and seconder on that one? Mr. MacArthur, yes, and Mr. Broderick. Thank you, Mr. MacArthur, Mr. Broderick. And is there any further questions to our planners on this one? Roz, you got anything you want to add in regards to this one specifically?
No, I don't think you think so. Thank you, though.
All right. Well, like I said, thank you for when you read the two reports together, they make sense. So if there's any questions from anybody? No? Going the second time, third time? Yes, go ahead, please.
I just want to make a brief comment, and I have had discussions with the proponent here tonight a bit, and I think they're making a very positive effort to try and mediate and mitigate any of the issues with the neighbors. So I commend Brent on working towards that as we go through with this application. So please keep our planning department involved with the discussions, because I think that will solve a lot of friction in the neighborhood, we'll say. So thank you.
All right, good comment. All right, seeing nothing further, council, you've got the report, you've got a mover and seconder, and I am prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that also passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, council, moving on to a committee of adjustment for October 2023. Recommendation be it resolved that council of the township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 077 2023, the Committee of Adjustment October 2023 report dated October 30, 2023 for information. Can I have a mover and seconder? Deneen and Walker. Thank you. Any questions on the Committee of Adjustment report? Any comments from our staff? Nothing further? All right. Members of council, you've got a report. There's no questions. And I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. Council, we've got the draft plan for subdivision extension Manortown. I'll read the report and then I'll look for read the recommendation, then I'll look for a mover and seconder. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 078 2023 draft plan for subdivision extension for Manortown Homes dated October 30, 2023. And item 1, approve the extension of the Manortown Homes Inc. draft plan for subdivision being file number 2017-063 SD, legally described as Plan 51M541 for an additional 1-year period, with the new lapse date being November 2024. And item 2, approve amendments to the existing draft plan conditions as outlined in Schedule E of the staff report PB 078 2023, and that notice be given in accordance with the Planning Act. Can I have a mover and seconder on that one? Mr. Broderick, thank you. Seconder, and Ms. Deneen. Thank you so much. Mr. Ainley is here, is that correct? Yeah. Is that, there you are up on the screen. Hello there. Do you have anything you'd like to add there, Nick? Sorry, it took me a minute to find you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Digitally tonight. Nothing really, just to advise that the applicants, they're currently requesting a 1-year extension. They're currently working with staff for final approval. It was hoped to have been cleared by this date, but it still isn't there yet, so it should be soon. So by the premise of not being having reached final approval yet, we're seeking a 1-year extension so we can just finish off that process. Unfortunately, the lapse date is in November, so we want to make sure that it doesn't lapse or we're finishing up the project.
Okay. Thank you, Nick. Is there any questions, members of council? Yes, go ahead, Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through to Nick, I'm glad to see only a 1-year extension, but is that realistic for them to be able to complete their tasks and move forward with that development? Just my wondering on that.
Nick, is that a realistic
through
1-year
yes.
extension?
Thank you, through your worship, Councillor Walker. Yes, it is realistic. As I've indicated in the report, the applicants have been working with us significantly for the past several years, and we are coming to the conclusion for final approval. I'd note that the applicant or the owner has prepaid both for sewer and water capacity for the subject land, so they're not impacted by the current water capacity issue impacting the Stainer settlement area. So it's our hope that this can be cleared early in the new year. So the 1-year request was what was requested by the applicant, and staff feel that is something that can be achieved within that time frame.
All right, thank you. Members of council, anything further? Any other questions? Okay, I'll just put a commentary in. I truly look forward to this subdivision finally moving forward. It has been on our books for a very long time. And I appreciate your question, Mr. Walker, asking for is that a reasonable time limit? I can assure you next November, I'm going to make a note that we have a very good discussion with those folks if they come back and ask for a further extension. Okay? Is that a deal? Thank you very much. Members of council, you've got the recommendation in front of you. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries. Okay, draft plan extension. Another one, Clearview Park. All right, here, I'll read this, look for a mover and seconder. Be it resolved, Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 080 2023, the draft plan of subdivision extension dated October 30, 2023. Item 1, approve the extension of Clearview Park draft plan of subdivision file 2017-063 SD for an additional 2-year period, with a new lapse date being November 2025. Item 2, approve amendment to the existing draft plan conditions as outlined in Schedule F of staff report PB 080 2023, and that notice be given in accordance with the Planning Act. Okay, mover and seconder on this motion. Is that Deneen? Yes, Deneen and Walker. Thank you again. All righty. Who's got this one? Is this Nick as well? Hello, Nick? No? Roz? Yes, it is Nick.
Yes, yes,
Hi, Nick.
yes, it is mine. Yes.
You guys, you got to let me know this and then I write it down ahead of time. Mr. Ainley, what would you like to say about your report?
Well, hopefully, again, the report is self-explanatory. So the applicants for Clearview Park are seeking a 2-year extension in their existing draft plan approval. Just to note that in addition to the draft plan extension request we have here tonight, there is an active zoning bylaw amendment and red line revision to the existing draft plan approval application also with municipality. So those were received in September 2022. So again, we're working with the applicants on that, those two processes and applications simultaneously. Again, similar to the Manor Town, unfortunately, the draft plan approval lapses in November of 2023. So while we can adjust the lapse date in the draft plan, the concurrent draft plan approval red line revision applications for the staff, that process has not been completed to date. So the intent is to extend this for additional 2-year period so the continued review of the zoning bylaw amendment and the red line revision application can continue. And through that process, additional changes to the draft plan conditions beyond what's suggested tonight may occur as well. So hopefully that's a bit more clarifying, but if you have any more questions, I'm happy to address them.
Okie dokie. Members of council, any questions to Mr. Ainley or any other of our planning staff? Yes, go ahead, Mr. MacArthur.
Yeah, I'm not sure who to direct this question at specifically, but I'm just thinking here, does anybody know with other municipalities if this is becoming a common occurrence with any subdivision, or is it just happening here?
I think it's not just here, but I'm going to look to Amy because I know she's been communicating with some of her colleagues in other areas around the province. Ms. Can?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, and through to you, Councillor MacArthur. I don't think it's an unusual occurrence. Interesting here, we're seeing the convergence of a lot of approvals given, 5 years ago. And so the cycle is continuing. So that's why we're seeing sort of a clump of them coming together. But it's not unusual for a municipality to grant draft plan extension, especially where it's warranted given, development cycles or infrastructure constraints, that kind of thing. So.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing the question forward, though, because it is something that does happen. It seems rather routine, but it is not. It's actually in order to meet the timelines that they have for their requirements and our requirements. So we have to set a deadline somewhere. So that's what we've done. Thank you. Yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Just another question to Mrs. Khan. Do we charge for these renewals or these? Could you explain that, please?
Through Your Worship, yes, there's an application fee charged for the request for extension so that we can charge a little bit for our time.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any other questions, members of council? Seeing none. Council, we've got a mover and seconder on this motion. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That's a unanimous decision. Thank you so much. All right, council, the next item has been presented to us by the staff with an option 1 and option 2. So as you know, we must have a complete recommendation in front of us to have it moved and seconded. So the procedure will be that I will read the entire recommendations going through option 1 and option 2. And then council, we will have a discussion as to which option we wish to choose, whether it be option 1 or option 2. You can ask questions of all the staff. You can discuss here and debate. But we will then create a recommendation that the clerk will record as to which option we choose or not. And then we will then reread the recommendation with a completed recommendation where I will then ask for a mover and seconder. Okay. Here it is. Recommendation be it resolved, Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 082-2023. It's the Battery Energy Storage System and IESO Long-Term RFP dated October 30, 2023. And option 1, that council direct staff to prepare a blanket municipal support resolution for the use of proponents engaged in the LT1 RFP for battery energy storage systems containing the condition that is A, the resolution's sole purpose is to enable the proponent to receive rated criteria points under the LT1 RFP or to satisfy its obligations under any awarded LT1 contract, and may not be used for the purpose of any other form of approval in relation to the proposal or long-term reliability project or for any other purpose. Rated criteria points will be used to rank the proponent's proposal in relation to other proposals received by the IESO under the LT1 RFP. And item 2, that the mayor and clerk be directed to sign the blanket municipal support resolution. Option 2, item 1, whereas issuance of a municipal support resolution prior to a decision being made on an applicable Planning Act approvals may prejudice the township in its decision on such Planning Act matters. And whereas the township does not wish to contribute to any losses the proponent or landowner may experience, whether real or perceived, in advance a project where Planning Act and other subsequent approvals are not guaranteed. Now, therefore, that council declines issuance of a municipal support resolution for the LT1 RFP where bulk storage is not permitted on the subject lands in accordance with the township zoning bylaw 0554 as amended. So as I said, those two resolutions are sort of in front of us. I open the floor to councillors if they have any question. Councillors and Deputy Mayor, if they have any questions, you can bring it up and we can have an open discussion to determine which option we'll go to. You're going to go first? Paul Van Staden.
Thank you.
Please go right ahead. I need a drink of water.
Okay, I'd like to speak. We've already been through a previous application in regards to battery storages, and we basically identified that we would support the provisions for a battery storage. And I think that's very important. I know it's the IESO is dependent on a letter of support for any application. So if 5 people bid on the same job, we need 5 letters of recommendation or deal with each one on an individual basis. My opinion is that we should do a blanket one, provided we get assurance that we do not prejudice our planning application, because we're not given approval for the planning of it or that it meets the criteria or anything like that. All we're saying is that our doors are open in Clearview to deal with a battery storage unit. And I guess I would defer back to our Director of Planning to say, does application or option 1 meet that criteria, that we're not giving approvals, we are not affecting our planning decision, but we are saying we would consider this proposal.
Amy, would you like to address that?
Yes, thank you, through your worship. Yes, that is exactly the intent. A blanket resolution would serve to then allow council to move forward without prejudice to consider required Planning Act or other approvals that may be in their hands. So a blanket resolution would not be tied to a specific property, so those complications wouldn't be at play with the blanket resolution.
Thank you. Just a further comment to it. And the presentation, I know we had a brief one, and I look forward to hearing more of it. I was planning on being at the previous meeting earlier that was canceled, but it was nice to hear that there would be 6 full-time jobs created with this particular application. So these are the things we're looking for. I didn't think there would be permanent jobs created, but 6 more jobs could be created in our community. That's a positive to hear that. So just speaking towards that.
Understand? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other members of council with any questions? Yes, go ahead, Mr. Beelan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just found this whole application a bit confusing because they're asking for a municipal support resolution, and then all of a sudden they throw that word blanket in front of it.
Right.
To me, this is all very confusing. I'm wondering if there's a better way to word all this stuff. To me, it reminds me, your son growing up, he turned 16. He asked permission to take the car. Yep. I want a blanket permission to take the car. No. So this is very confusing to me. So maybe we can explain again, what does a blanket municipal support resolution mean versus a municipal support resolution?
I'm going to help you out with that just for one thing. And that is, if you were to say to your son or daughter that, yes, you can take the car, you got a blanket permission to take it, with one big proviso: do you have a driver's license? So they're qualified to go get a driver's license by getting a blanket permission to be able to do that. So that's sort of how it goes. They need to get a site license to allow them to connect to the system, but they need to make sure that we as a host municipality see that that will be a benefit to our community. So that's sort of the difference. So the blanket permission doesn't prejudice any of our decisions in regards to actual land use, zoning, noise abatement, vehicle traffic study, wildlife protection, all these things that we can ask questions about someone who wants to change the use of agricultural land, right? So I get it when it's a good question about your license because it makes sense. Yes, you can use the car, but no, you don't have a license. So there you go. Can I go to the Amy? Do you want to comment on that?
Yes, sure. Through your worship to Councillor Beelan. So the concept of the blanket resolution is essentially the municipal support resolution in the blanket form is council endorsing the idea of the battery energy. Yes, exactly. And it doesn't tie it down to a specific property or proposal or proponent. So a project specific municipal support resolution, which is the option other than not the option presented here, but as far as the ISO is concerned, is each proponent would come forward with the very specific details of their proposal, including property details, and then council would make a decision on a case-by-case basis. The blanket version sort of takes that case-by-case basis out of the equation.
And moves it back into land use
Yes.
area of our responsibility. Because to be honest, this council doesn't decide whether you use electricity or not. We decide what the land use is. So the electrical energy, was it IESO, whatever, they have to give authority for that use to that contract. Okay. Anybody else with any other suggestions or comments? John, you nodded your head there. Did you want to say something? I'm looking at Mr. Ferguson.
No, thank you, Worship. Yeah, no, I was just nodding my head, but I was agreeing with what Amy was saying, is that it doesn't prejudice any final decision that council would have if they were to rezone property. This doesn't prejudice at all. It means the council has not made their mind up about that, but generally they support the idea of energy storage.
Fair enough. Council, if there's nothing further, no other questions, I'm looking for someone to make a recommendation on which option would come forward. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that council adopts the option 1 and the terminology as presented in option 1.
Okay. You're going to second that? There's a seconder on that. Now, in fairness, is there anybody who would like to make a nomination for option 2? Going once, going twice. That is closed. Council, Madam Clerk, I'll call the motion. You comfortable with that? Okay. Council, you have a motion in front of you regarding option number 1. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous for option 1. Council, I will now go back to the original motion and reread it, and then I'll ask for a mover and seconder. This is report PB 082. Recommendation, be it resolved, Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 082 2023. It's the Battery Energy Storage System IESO long-term RFP dated October 30, 2023. And that item number 1, Council directs staff to prepare a blanket municipal support resolution for the use of proponents engaging in the LT1 RFP for battery energy storage systems containing the condition A, that the resolution's sole purpose is to enable the proponent to receive rated criteria points under LT1 RFP or to satisfy its obligations under the awarded LT1 contract and may not be used for the purpose of any other form of approval in relation to the proposal or long-term reliability project or for any other purpose. Rated criteria points will be used to rank the proponent's proposal in relation to other proposals received by the IESO under LT1 RFP. And item 2, that the mayor and clerk be directed to sign the blanket municipal support resolution. A mover and seconder on this motion, please. Mr. Broderick, Mr. McCart, or Mr. Deputy Mayor. Thank you so much. Okay, further discussion on this. Any discussion? No recommendations, no amendments. Council, you've got a motion in front of you. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you so much. If I may, at this point, which has nothing to do with this actual topic, I just want to point out that this is exactly the kind of procedure that we need to put into our new procedural bylaw. So I've already worked with the clerk on this, that we're going to put this procedure in to make it official, that this is how we deal with optioned recommendations that appear in our council table. Okay. All right. Public Works, we're moving on. Look what's back on our agenda. The off-road vehicle bylaw, once again, has appeared on our agenda. Report PB 025-2023. It's the off-road vehicle bylaw 2071 minor amendment. I'll read the recommendation. I'll look for a mover and seconder. Recommendation, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby 1, receive report PB 025-2023 off-road vehicle bylaw 2071 minor amendment dated October 30, 2023. And item 1, direct staff to amend Schedule B, prohibited roadways, and Schedule C, use map of bylaw 2071 in accordance with the proposed changes outlined in the report. And item 2, that the amending bylaw be presented to council at the October 30, 2023 council meeting. Mover and seconder. Mr. Walker, Ms. Deneen, thank you very much. Dan, Mr. Perot, how many more amendments are we going to have? Sorry, I'm being facetious, but thank you very much.
This will be the last one for this year.
For this year. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Worship. So after we passed the bylaw back in July, or council passed the bylaw back in July, it was made aware by our friends to the south that in Mulmer Township that their council brought forward a resolution to advise or ask us that because their bylaw does not permit ATVs, that the more restrictive bylaw, when you have adjoining boundary roads, the more restrictive bylaw supersedes the permissive bylaw. So we obtained solicitor advice, and he was able to confirm that. So here we are amending amending our bylaw, amending our some wording in the schedules to the bylaw to basically state that fact that if there's boundary road agreements that oppose one another, then the boundary road agreement that's more prohibitive supersedes. Difficult with those words, permissive and prohibitive.
I got it. All right, members of council, any questions to Mr. Perot or any questions to the, yes, go ahead, Paul.
So Dan, in the case of a situation now, we are not going to enforce that the ATVs won't use that road, correct? So like we're not expected to enforce their bylaw of no ATVs on that road, is what I'm trying to get at.
Through your worship to Deputy Mayor, when we come to enforcement, it's a tricky one because it's enforced by the OPP. The OPP would have to make the decision, I guess, that they would enforce whatever bylaw they wish to enforce. So it's a tricky one. I think it's a different OPP detachment as well.
Shelburne versus Huronia West. I just find it interesting, if they have the authority to say we can't use it, then they should be enforcing that as well. And are we going to tell our Huronia West detachment not to enforce it because that's what our intent was? because we are allowing people to use our Clearview roads, but it's a shared road. So it's I don't know if it's we really are opening up a can of worms, I guess you might say, when it comes to enforcement.
It is a difficult one, perhaps the clerk would have some insight through bylaw on that particular question with regards to enforcement.
I would like to go to the clerk. Go ahead.
Thank you, Worship. Through you to the rest of the council. I can say that we will not be putting our bylaw enforcement resources to that specific road. The way that we've amended Schedule B and C of this bylaw is that Clearview Council is not prohibiting that road. We just put a caveat in there similar to our county roads that if it's a boundary road and both are not permissive, then people are not allowed to ride on those roads with their off-road vehicles, but that's up to the user. But we won't be putting our resources to that area specifically. We'll work on the other prohibited roads in our township, and that's where we'll work on our resources. But we are promoting education first, so.
Okay. Members of council, anything further? Thank you very much, Dan, and thank you very much, Sasha, for your information. Council, you've got a motion in front of you with a mover and seconder, and I am prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That also carries unanimous. Thank you very much. All right, council, we have this is an interesting one. We're looking at an acquisition of 8291 910 Side Road, Nottawasaga. Recommendation be it resolved that council of the township of Clearview hereby receive report PW 026/2023. It's the acquisition of 8291 910 Side Road, Nottawasaga, dated October 30, 2023. And item 1, that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the legal documents to acquire the property at 8291 910 Side Road, legally described as Part Lot 9, Concession 8, Nottawasaga, as in RO 405695, Township of Clearview, and it is known as PIN number 5822200054LT, from the estate of Kenneth Norman McLeod and Norma McLeod. Is there any? Yeah, okay. There's nothing further on that. Mover and seconder on that, please. Deneen, thank you. Beelan, thank you. And is any comments from our staff on that? Not sure. I see Mike is in this on the frame. Does Mike want to go for that, or is that?
Yeah, your worship. This is Director Ron's file.
Okay. Mr. Ron, Director Ron, go right ahead.
Thank you, your worship. The report's self-explanatory. I'd like to thank the clerk for helping me work through the process of getting it to council. This is about a year coming, and the best solution is we take over this 0.1 acre parcel of property due to the soil conditions and the items as described in the report.
Okay, thank you so much. Any questions to our staff about this 0.1 acre? Yes, go ahead.
So my calculation, 40.1 acre, which is, I would guess, 4,300 square feet, basically. Could it ever be built on, Mike, or is it something that what is it going to do us any good in perpetuity, or can we use it for anything, or any suggestions?
We could put a bus stop on it.
Telecommunications.
Go ahead, Dan.
Your worship, through your worship to Deputy Mayor Van Staver, know that at 0.1 acre, very small. The property is full of springs. The reason the adjacent landowner doesn't want it is because they were a little bit concerned that there might be some liability associated with the soil conditions. We literally were just trying to have this property placed from one property owner to another property owner, and we've had to do some repair work, silt in the ditch. We've stabilized the bank on this little piece of property. There's really nothing that can be done with it. Ideally, the property surrounding it would take it over, but as the report indicates, they feel that there's no benefit to them, so they've kind of refused that offer, and that's reasonable. So the best option is we kind of take it over and leave it there.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. MacArthur.
I'm thinking, couldn't it be a future water supply for the village of Dunedin?
And not enough water for that, no.
Okay. Anybody else? It's interesting, these little problems we end up in with municipal government. 0.1 acre of a parcel. Okay. All right. Members of council, if there's nothing further. Oh, is there another question? Yes, go ahead. Mr.
Yeah, I'm
McCarthy.
just saying it makes total sense because traveled that road for years and I'm always seeing the damage to the road or the problems with the road coming from that spot. So if we have control of it, then obviously we can do whatever measures needed and
That's true.
No fear of liability from any other parties. So
that's a very good point, actually. That'll allow future road construction there to be able to work a little outside of the road. Yeah, I get it. Thank you. All right, members of council, if there's nothing further, I'm prepared to call the motion. Those in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you. All right. Feels like we're getting at the end of the year. We're getting all these little things cleaned up, aren't we? Well done, Madam Clerk. All right. On-street patio policy. Patio policy. Okay. Council, simple recommendation. Look for a mover and seconder. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PW 027-2023 on-street sidewalk patio policy update dated October 30, 2023. And item 1, direct staff to amend the on-street sidewalk patio policy in accordance with the proposed changes outlined in this report and report back to council with a revised policy by February 2024. Can I have a mover and seconder? Mr. Walker, Mr. Beelan, thank you. All right. Anybody have any questions about this report? Yes, go right ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if this needs an amendment or whatever, but I know these things are long and the wording gets confusing on them. But in the first part of the report, it says curbside patios. The last line, it says there should be enough accessible tables. What is enough? Why can't we just put there should be accessible tables? So can we take that word enough out? And then at the end, you're saying we're moving to go to only curbside tables. So does it matter that we have that word enough in there? Do we need to amend this to take enough out?
Good language question.
Well, yeah, it's just confusing. What is enough accessible tables?
Mr. Perot, have you got a comment on that?
Thank you, Your Worship, through to Councillor Beelan. So in the comments analysis section of my report, I was just reiterating verbatim the recommendations from the Accessibility Committee Advisory, or Accessibility Advisory Committee. Say that again. So that those are the recommendations that came from the committee, where it says enough accessible tables. Yeah, what is enough, is to be determined, I guess. I'm not sure either what enough would be, but the discussion from being here with the committee was that they just wanted them identified, I guess. So having accessible tables identified on the patio. And how many enough is unclear.
Okay.
But having them identified, it's similar to, I think, if you went into a restaurant, perhaps a fast food restaurant, where the accessibility symbol was on the table itself, that somebody would be able to use that table and not have to travel through the patio to find a table, if you understand.
So we are just going to curbside patio, not storefront.
If council passes the recommendations, then my recommendation would be that only I call curbside.
So no more walkarounds or whatever you call it.
Correct.
Yep. Perfect. Okay.
All right, Mr. Walker, I think you indicated you want to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Just regards to that, I think you could almost replace the word enough with some accessible tables. And the whole idea from the committee was the fact that the tables should be clearly marked accessible and be up front, basically without having them try and weave wheelchairs or whatever through the other tables. So the idea was just to have some identifiable. So I would think that you, instead of enough, you could put, there should be some accessible tables as a wording change, just that way that the number is to be open type thing. Yeah, it can just be a couple or one even, but at least it's open. So, you know.
Not sure if there's a policy on that. Hello, Amy. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a comment on that. So I'm not sure how this would contribute to your wording question, but through the policy review, we'll certainly be consulting with the Ontario Building Code and the Integrated Accessibility Standard under AOTA. So those two documents, I don't know off the top of my head if they indicate a minimum number of accessible tables. We would use that Q first. And next we would move on to maybe like a gold standard or a best practice.
Okay. It's coming back to me now. Thank you very much. Okay. Is there anybody else with any questions, or do we need to make that amendment to the wording? No, we don't need to. All right. Yes, go ahead, Mr. MacArthur.
Yeah, I'm just hoping in light of the new presentation and whatnot, that maybe we can still have an open period for 2 or 4 weeks for any additional comments. I know we've had a couple of emails previous to this with ideas of what should happen to the patios. So I'm just thinking maybe we need a little more comment time from people in the town or wherever. So I don't know how we approach that or.
All right. So the proposal right now would be that we would receive this report and then direct a new bylaw for February. So while it's in the bylaw preparation phase, that's when councillors can receive information and bring it to this meeting if they need to through a report to council or a notice of motion. Would that be fair? Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Is that fair? Or do we need to have an open discussion with the public on that? I'm asking for your advice, council, on your thoughts. Go ahead.
I think it's reasonable that we receive this report and we allow the community and the different proponents to respond to it. And that gives us 3-4 months for them to respond while we can deal with it and incorporate it into the final bylaw. So I think that's reasonable. And I would hope most of our comments will come in short term. Sure. Or immediately. So then when it's being prepared, we can work with it right now, sort of thing. So.
Mr. MacArthur, it certainly brings the attention to the entire township on these patio issues. It does come to your ward. So perhaps if you feel that there are other comments or other suggestions, you could bring forward a notice of motion to reopen this discussion and bring those forward from the public. Would that be fair?
Yeah, like your meeting maybe in a month or whatever to
between now and
with
February 1st, giving Dan time to write the report.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, like I still think, we want to make sure we get it right this time. So
I would think so too.
All input and, I'm not sure whether the public was aware it was coming, to this meeting other than 5 days ago, like the rest of us. So,
yeah, it's always a challenge, isn't it? Getting the agenda out so that the public know what's happening. So, all right. Yes, go ahead, Dan.
Just for my clarification, Your Worship, is council asking for a review of the revised policy or just provide input to what the policy should, or ask what the policy should include, perhaps?
My thought,
or not include.
My thought there, Dan, would be that if members of the public wish to comment or have suggestions on the proposed policy, that a member of council could bring it back to this table through notice of motion or report underneath our current procedural bylaw, which we're still looking at. And then that way it could reopen this discussion prior to a bylaw being presented to council, such that if there was a change, it would change the direction that we've been given to prepare the bylaw. That makes sense?
Yeah, and just one small clarification. This would not come back as a bylaw, it'll come back as a policy. Or
Right
guide-
now, this is just direction to council.
Yeah.
Or direction to staff. There's no bylaw right here.
Yeah.
The bylaw will come in February. Correct?
No.
The amendments will come in February.
The amended policy or guideline.
Yeah.
Would come back in February after extensive review and overhaul based on the recommendations of the accessibility committee.
Correct.
And other input. So I would ask that other members of the public or members of council have concerns or questions that they be brought before the policies rewritten.
Okay, so let me just review then with you, Mr. Pro. In February, you would bring a supplemental report, which would then ask for a bylaw from there, or would you simply be bringing forward a bylaw that would change the policy?
It's your worship, it's not intended to come back as a bylaw, just
Okay.
as a endorsed policy, a council endorsed policy or guideline, just as it is now. It was never
I understand.
as a
Okay.
bylaw.
Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Worship. Do you have a specific question? So the idea is it's not coming back as a bylaw, similar to other policies that we provide. So our appointment policy by resolution, council supported that appointment policy. The same would be with the sidewalk patio policy. The idea is, though, down the road, we are looking to maybe merge parking, traffic, and our boulevards into one all-encompassing bylaw that would address permit issues for this type of policy, where we would set an amount to obtain a permit and also have possibly PO set fines if someone doesn't remove their furniture, to address those types of issues.
Okay. So I think our policies then are still valid, such that the councillors can bring forward notice of motion or a report anytime between now and when your secondary report arrives in February. But you can continue to work in the direction, if this passes, towards producing that new policy. Fair enough, members of council? Okay, good. Anything else on this policy? Council, you've got a mover and seconder. All right. Okay, good discussion. Look forward to seeing it. Members of council, I'll prepare to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you very much. All right. Good stuff. Changing my glasses so I can read the details. Oh, Finance Department. This is the medical center lease renewal. The old medical center down in Creemore is doing well. Recommendation. Be it resolved, the council of the township of Clearview hereby receive report FIN 015-2023. This is the 2023-2025 medical center lease renewals dated October 30, 2023. And item 1, approve a 3% increase in the Creemore Medical Center lease rates effective October 1st, 2023 for the period of October 1st, 2023 to September 30, 2024. Item 2 is approve a 3% increase in the medical center lease rates each subsequent year effective October 1st, 2024 for the period of October 2024 to September 30, 2025. Item 3, direct the treasurer to prepare the updated lease agreements for the Creemore Medical Center tenants. And item 4, authorize the mayor and clerk, director of legislative services, to sign the leases on behalf of the township of Clearview once they are signed by the tenants. Okay, now mover and seconder, please, on this one. Deneen, thank you. MacArthur, thank you. And Kelly, would you like to speak to this, since it's here on our agenda and you're here with us?
Thank you, Worship. Through your worship to members of council, this lease period is bringing the medical center leases back in line with the original business plan for the expansion, which was to set a 3% increase, which we're hoping will cover costs and set a bit aside for any capital requirements that are needed. So if anybody has any questions, I am most certainly available.
Okay. Thank you. Members of council, if you've got any questions to the treasurer or staff on this issue. Nope. Okay. Members of council, you've got a motion in front of you. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you so much. All right. Another report from Finance, FIN 016, the Annual Investment Report. Recommendation, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report FIN 016, 2023, the Annual Investment Report dated October 30, 2023, for information. Can I have that moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Mr. Walker? Thank you. And Kelly, anything you want to add?
Thank you, Your Worship. These next two reports are actually just regulatory reports that I'm presenting for council's information. So if there's any questions, feel free.
Okay, thank you very much. Council, is there any questions to the investment report? Seeing none, we have a mover and seconder on the motion. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Thank you. And the development charge statement for 2022, recommendation, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report FIN 017, 2023. It's the 2022 development charge statement dated October 30th, 2023 for information. Can I have a mover and seconder on that? Mr. Walker, I see your cards up, and Mr. Broderick. Thank you, sir. And Kelly, nothing further. So if members of council have any questions on the development charge report for 2022. Seeing none, then council, we've got a mover and seconder, and I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? Thank you. That carries unanimous. All right. Over to legislative services. We're on page 7, LS 026, 2023. Community assistance grant and sponsorship second intake period. So this is a recommendation, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report LS 026, 2023, the 2023 Community Assistant Grant and Sponsorship second intake period dated October 30, 2023. Item 1, that the distribution of the 2023 Community Assistance Grant and Sponsorships as outlined in Appendix A to this report be approved as presented. And item 2, that Council approve transferring the remaining $15,300 to the 2024 Community Assistance Grant and Sponsorship budget. Okay, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and seconded by Ms. Deneen. Thank you. And I see your card yellow. Do you want to go first, Phyllis?
Sure, I can
All
speak
right,
to
go
this.
right ahead.
We went through this process, and it's a newly created second 2 intake periods for us. So it's the first year for that. And I just wanted to mention about the carry forward of the 15,300.
Yep.
Yeah, 15,300. I lost my agenda somewhere, sorry. And I just appreciate council's consideration in carrying forward that amount, the remaining balance. And I hope that our newly created 2 intake periods will see a little bit more response with further communication by everyone in the township, really. The further communication of the purpose of these funds. So we might see more intake in the spring. I'm hoping for, some more volunteer run, not-for-profit startups, possibly sports, other special interest groups out there just coming forward that might fall within our guidelines for these grants and sponsorships. And I just would really appreciate taking that back, and hopefully there will be more people come forward with this.
Thank you so much, Phyllis. Thank you. Paul, did you want to add something?
I think Phyllis just nailed it. I think it's very important that we recognize as a council that the way the economy is going right now is we can anticipate more demand for a lot of this money, and that for this reason, being the first time through our 2 intakes, we're requesting that certain monies be deferred till next year, and come budget time we can hammer at it still, but we've tried to be as frugal as we can but be fair as we can. And I think it's really well. I think it's some good recommendations are coming forward at this time.
Well, thank you so much as a committee, along with our deputy clerk, who also attends and participate in that. So thank you to your committee work for bringing forward this recommendation. If there's nothing further from members of council. All right, I have a small procedure question. is for the Treasury. And perhaps through the Treasury, Kelly, I don't believe we have a sponsorship and a assistance grant sponsorship budget reserve. I don't think we have that set out as a reserve right now.
Your worship, no, we do not.
Yeah.
We do, however, have something that we've classed a budgeted items reserve, and
Yeah.
what we'll do with funds that council directs to move forward into a further budget year, we'll transfer those funds into that budgeted items reserve.
Got it.
Where they will be funded from the next year.
Okay. I was just making sure that I understood that until this motion, anything that was remaining in that account would have been moved to the tax stabilization reserve, if I understand correctly. So I think this is a good idea that this recommendation comes forward, given that we can move tax budgeted dollars that have not been allocated in one year to the next year's budgeted allocations while continuing the budget contributions to that account. Correct?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Okay. I think that's an excellent procedure. Thank you for bringing it up. And again, thanks to this committee. Did you want to add something?
No, thank you, Your Worship. I got off easy tonight.
Well, thank you for working on this committee with our councillors and deputy mayor. Thank you so much. Council, is nothing further? They're still discussing over here, so I'm just going to give them a second. That's okay. I'm just making sure. You guys okay? You're okay? Marty, thank you. All right. Council, if there's nothing further, I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. Well done. By the way, I'm really glad we have the second intake period. I think that worked out. I think that worked out well, and it was a good call to do that. Okay, we're going to amend the procedure bylaw 1219 about the public meeting start time. This amendment, by the way, does not come into effect until January, but we need to do it now so that the public meeting start time gets promoted and advertised if necessary through the planning department. LS 027-2023. Recommendation, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report LS 027-2023 to amend the procedure bylaw 1219 public meeting start time dated October 30, 2023. And item 1, that council support amending section 6.1 DI and attachments 3 of the procedure bylaw 1219 to remove the prescribed start time for public meetings. And item 2, that council support amending section 6.1 D4 to state the public meetings not held during a regular council meeting begin at 5:30 p.m. and that public meetings in that form part of a regular council meeting will commence based on the order of business of the agenda. And item 3, that the bylaw amending the procedure bylaw 1219 be presented at the October 30, 2023 regular meeting of council and come into effect on January 1st, 2024. Did I read that all correctly? I think I got it. Can I have a mover and seconder on this bylaw amendment? Mr. Walker, seconded by Mr. Broderick. Thank you very much. Let's see. Perhaps I'll go to Amy first. Would you like to speak to this, Amy, since you're now ready to speak on why we'd change this? And then I'll go to the clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is actually Sasha's report. She took the head on writing it, but we are pleased to see the time proposed to be moved up. We don't foresee it represent any hardship for applicants, consultants, landowners, that kind of thing. So.
Okay, then. And Sasha, would you like to comment on your report?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think Amy summarized it pretty well. I think the 5:30 p.m. start time is in line with what other councils are doing, and it's in line with our regular council meetings. So it is a good expectation to have that. And as it gets a little bit darker out there, it's nice to be able to start those meetings a little bit earlier. And when we have a couple files that have a lot of public participation, that hour earlier allows us to review those applications and not be maybe here until 10:30 at night for those public participants and councils. So
right. Okay. And for both staff members, if I may, item number 2 of this recommendation, which outlines the fact that if it's a meeting as in a planning public meeting being held during a regular council meeting, that the public meeting portion will simply be advertised as 5:30, but it will occur in the agenda of the meeting. It will not occur directly at that time. It'll occur when the agenda moves on, which, if you may recall, some meetings in the past, we've started our meeting and we have all the business done and we're waiting till 6:30 to actually start the planning public meeting. And so it makes sense that if we just announce that that's the date, that's the time, and it'll happen within that agenda that evening. Okay, make sense? Groovy. Any questions from anybody? All right. Thank you very much. Council, you got a mover and seconder, and I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. All right, council, we got some bylaws here now. And first one is our amending the off-road vehicle bylaw 2071. Recommendation, be it resolved that bylaw 2388 being a bylaw to amend Schedule B and Schedule C of the off-road vehicle bylaw 2071 be presented and read a first, second, and third time, finally passed on the 30th day of October 2023. Can I get a mover and seconder? Deputy Mayor, seconded. Ms. Deneen, thank you. Council, you've got the bylaw. I'm prepared to call it. All those in favor? Bylaw carries unanimous. Thank you. Bylaw 2393 is the amend the procedure bylaw 1219 in regard to public meetings. Recommendation, be it resolved, bylaw 2393 being a bylaw to amend the township's procedure bylaw 1219 to change the start time of public meetings as presented and read a first, second, and third time, finally passed on the 30th day of October 2023. The bylaw, please, Mr. Walker and Mr. MacArthur. Thank you very much. Council, you've heard the bylaw. All those in favor? And the bylaw carries. Thank you so much. Council, we're on to item number 13, notice of motion or any new business. And then item 14 is the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of our council meeting. Recommendation, be it resolved that bylaw 2394 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the October 30th, 2023 council meeting be presented and read a first, second, and third time, finally passed 30th day of October 2023. Moved by Mr. Beelan, seconded by Mr. Broderick. Thank you. You've heard the bylaw. All those in favor? And that bylaw carries unanimous. Thank you very much. 15 is the notice or the motion to adjourn. The time is, where are we at? 7:27. 7:27. I have the motion to adjourn by Mr. MacArthur, seconded by Ms. Deneen. All those in favor? Thank you. That carries unanimous. Council, I look forward to seeing you all in the next meeting. Please remember to attend your local community Remembrance Day services, which will be coming up. All the best. Thank you. Good night.